welcome to yet another episode of the Streamline, the show giving you updates on what's trending in the news globally and, of course, locally as well. And of course, in the Streamline, we believe in no arguments, just facts. I'm your host, Thomas Nyangulu Jr., and of course, in the studios, I'm joined by my colleagues, Georgina Mwanze, and of course, Angel Perry.
Indeed.
Welcome to the program, my lady and gentlemen.
Thank you, Thomas.
All right. And of course, on the Streamline today, two issues we're looking at: an update on COVID-19, and of course, where various nations have adopted e-learning platforms. We're looking at the pros and cons of e-learning just in a moment. All right, this is the Streamline. Going to our first issue, an update on COVID-19. Zambia records 3 new cases, 2 recoveries, 2 deaths so far, and of course, 11 active cases. A twist and a turn in events. We had no cases, but now new cases come up. What are your sentiments towards that, Angel?
Well, Thomas, it's a conversation we've had even on various platforms and behind the scenes of even this particular show to say COVID-19 in Zambia might have seemed to have taken a new twist, seeing that new cases have been established. It's a bittersweet development, but still we're hopeful for the best. I still know to say we have the capacity to handle it. Recovering 30 out of 39 then is something huge. We can't fail to recover from the 11. I'm still positive about Zambia.
And of course, Georgina, what are your comments on that?
Okay, my comment is based on the 11 active cases, which you have 9 in Lusaka and 2 in the Copperberg, which is a very good thing when we look at statistics. Because as for now, we're looking at the 30 people who have recovered. Rather, as of Saturday, we had 2 recoveries, which is a very good thing. It seems like there's hope for Zambia that people will continue recovering as we go ahead by keeping on doing the hygiene habits.
All right. Just on a lighter note, I know. I hope that code is not out of COVID.
No.
And we know it's not because we're a little bit almost guilty of not social distancing. But it was a lighter note.
Okay. Moving on to the global scale. On the global scale, rather, we're seeing a record of the cases being 1,844,422, with deaths being 113,615. Total recovery so far 421,767. We've seen the US for the first time recording 2,000 deaths in a day on Saturday. What do you make of that? And of course, what is your analysis of that? A twist and turn of events still continuing, even in the epicenter.
Well, again, that's something huge to talk about. I'll start with the recoveries. Seeing the number almost hit 500,000, which is almost tallying with the number of the total infected people because it's over just 1 million. Now, seeing the recoveries almost tallying with that for me is a good sign in the right direction.
And of course, Georgina, we did see the president of the US for the past week predict that when it reaches, the death toll reaches 100,000, it will be the peak. And he said this could actually mark the end of COVID, and it would start, the trend would start going down. What do you make of that?
I think, in my opinion, I think he was right, because when you look at the way he analyzed the issue, looking ahead of the time, because he knew a lot of people were getting tested and a lot of people could die. So by doing a lot of tests, he knew that a lot of people might die and they could record a lot of cases.
All right, so let's just take a look at our second issue. Various countries adopting e-learning platforms. Looking at the pros and cons of e-learning. Perhaps we could start with the pros of e-learning. What are the pros of e-learning in your analysis, Angel?
Well, for starters, I should say, and I should make it clear on this record to say, the 21st century learner is very different than any other time in history. E-learning, I feel, it's an evolved way of doing things. Now, looking at the pros, really digging deep into that, I feel one of the biggest advantages of e-learning is the issue of it saves on time and also saves on money. Why do I say so? I'll start with time. A learner can access material at any time, anywhere. Secondly, also, if we're going to look at it more on the issue of money, when I'll give an example of higher education, e-learning in higher education, one would need to be accommodated or if they're not accommodated, they'll need to travel. Or even though you're not accommodated, assume you're going to university that's a province away or 2 provinces away. You need travel. But with e-learning, there isn't such a thing because it saves on time. It cuts on accommodation that you would pay your whole period of learning there. But since this is a little bit remote, or call it mobile and portable, it saves on all this, meaning all these costs have to be cut. So I feel it's an easier way of learning if you look at it in such a way. Thirdly, also I would like to add to say the method of teaching is standard. When you're in a lecture room or a lecture theater, you have different lecturers that all have a different style, a different formula that they use whenever they want to lecture. But when it's e-learning, it's standardized, because even the people that are going to teach you, the lecturers or the teachers, if it's in high schools and primary schools, they're run through a certain program on how the techniques they're supposed to use and the standard. So it's standardized.
Standardized method of learning. Of course, as often said, there is another side to a coin. But before we get to the disadvantages or the cons of e-learning, probably you might want to add something on the advantages. Jim.
Yeah, on advantages, yeah, e-learning is quite, it's faster. I would agree, it's faster, it's less time consuming, because you just go online and start listening. If it's tutorials, you just download whatever you have to download. If it's an assignment, it will save. You're submitting an assignment, you just type your assignment, pin it to the email, send it to the lecturer who's supposed to receive it. I feel it's faster and it's less time consuming.
Less time consuming. Moving on to the disadvantages and
Yes,
of course
the disadvantages.
the cons.
Okay, so my first one could start with the people with different disabilities, especially the visually impaired, the deaf people.
The differently able.
Yeah, the different able. Because when we talk of this, we're not putting these people in the picture. How are they going to access this kind of platform? Because when we talk of the visually impaired, they have to be in a lecture theater with those braille materials, which they have to be moving on the same pace with the person teaching them. So when you talk of e-learning, how are they going to manage? And you know, when we talk of e-learning in Zambia, we have few facilities which can accommodate braille students. So when you say, okay, e-learning is okay, yes, this and this, but also have to look at the aspect of the visually impaired.
Yeah, I think before even we go there, can I just add a little more to this conversation? An issue also of e-learning is sort of one size fits all, because it requires all of you to, it assumes you learn and you understand at the same rate. When we know we have different types of learners, there are those that are slow, there are those that grab it there, there are those that really, they're academicians, all they do is study, so even when they see stuff, it's not new to them, it's not alien to them. There's also another aspect of, it could be the end user's equipment that might be faulty, or also the equipment of the person. And looking at a country like Zambia,
technology is known to fail sometimes.
Technology fails,
Zambia,
yes.
when we look at a
And
country like
looking
Zambia.
at a country like Zambia also, most of our internet access is not based on Wi-Fi, but on network providers. We have issues firstly with our network providers. So if you're going to stream a lecture, or you're going to write an assignment or a test online, how guaranteed are you that that will actually work and it will go according to the way you intended or the way it's presumed to work?
All right. In concluding, and of course we'll talk more about the pros and cons of e-learning, zeroing it in on Zambia in our next episode. But in concluding, just your concluding remarks.
So when we talk of how the world is performing as of now, yeah, we might say the world is performing very good, because we look at it at the European-based countries where we see all these things, facilities going on very well. But when we look at a country like Zambia, we have students who come from villages to come to the University of Zambia, and the closure of the universities rather have sent them back home where they don't have access to smartphones and the internet. So when you say, okay, yes, let's implement e-learning, are we also thinking of the student in Shangombo village or Ndundumwezi?
All right, your concluding remarks, Angel.
All right. For starters, on the recoveries, it's good to see there more recoveries now. We did hope to see those start to increase. So seeing them start to increase on a global scale is something very good. A country like Zambia continues to be a large contributor of the recoveries, because every day or two. We see recoveries on a local front. Coming to the issue of e-learning, I feel the COVID-19 virus has really thrusted the world in a place where we need to depend on technology. The Western world, it's not alien to them for them to use virtual technology. So I feel for Africa, we must take it as an open opportunity for us to really embrace technology. We've seen our ministers start to have cabinet meetings via virtual video calls. It's good to see it's also trickling down to some schools. Not all schools are using it, but right now it's not very viable, and we'll talk about that later in many episodes.
Something to be received with open arms. It is often said that the biggest room in the world is a room for improvement. And of course, in terms of e-learning, we still have room for improvement and of course making that happen. This has been the Streamline, and of course on the Streamline we're looking at two issues: an update of COVID-19 and of course a focus on e-learning, the pros and cons. In our next episode we'll draw much and focus also deep into the pros and cons with a focus on Zambia and Africa as a whole. This has been Thomas Nyangulu Jr., your host, and of course my co-hosts and colleagues Georgina Mwanza and of course Angel Perry. Alright, from us in the studios, bye-bye and God bless. Catch us on the next episode.